Good morning. Well, I have managed to start at least day 2. This is how I usually start the day, is taking the dogs for a walk. Mando, come on here. Out the field. He's already chased some pigeons this morning, he's managed to have a go at. It's always nice to get out and seeing the world waking up. But I'm taking the kids to the bus stop this morning. They're all going into school. And then I'm going to get back into the workshop and get cracking. And there's going to allow us to that. So I'll be able to show you those skulls. And what I'll do first is show you where I'm at with the rifle slings. Right, this is where I am with the rifle slings. I've got the leather section glued on. The bit I was on about, the extra bit where the rifle sling is. Where the rifle sling, sling swivel, there we go. Which I've stitched on another section on the bottom, which is basically this loop that I've stitched onto the bottom of it. So that's that on. What I've got to do next with these, I think I've just dropped one yet, is the webbing loop for the bullets. I've already put some lines on them, so I know whereabouts I'm supposed to stitch them. I've got to line it up with the holes that I've already punched, fold it over, and then I've got to glue it on the back. What I'll do is I'll get these glued into position, then I can glue the rear section, the calf skin, onto the back of it. Right, now the position I'm at now is that's all lined up. Those lines are all stitched. I'll stitch that centre one once I've got it all looped on, because it's easy to stitch that. Well, it's easy to go around with a sewing machine and then stitch that afterwards. Same what I'll do with a little bit here. This is going to be a leather section that I'm going to stitch onto it. So I've just put some contact adhesive on either side of that. I've just got to wait for it to dry out a bit, and then I can pin it down and press it, but I'll carry on with these other ones while that's sorting. Right, I've got to let that dry. I need those other pins for the other two that I need to sort out. I've got them skulls that need sorting, so I'll give them a wash. Right, just because I want to do them in a sink probably, but because we're on a septic tank here, I don't want to put bleach into that. So just going to give them a rinse off. There we go. First two from last year. Probably not museum grade, but they'll be alright for me. Right, so that's all the slings glued up. Those are the sling swivel straps to put on the top. They've got to get stitched on. I'll first stitch up the entire length all the way around the leather section. That needs to be, when it's stitched, what I'll do is I'll just push it over slightly so it goes down that line and then up the opposite side. And I've also got some little leather bits there that I'm just sorting out at the minute that'll get stitched on at the same time. Once they're on, then I'll put the centre lines on. Before them, I'm going to sort out a couple of sheaths. They've already been wet formed. They're actually in the dark brown, but because you wet form them, they go a bit lighter. They will be waxed up and what have you in a bit. So next job is to sort out all the stitching holes down the edge of them. There we go, so I'll put all stitching holes in, use the drill press. I've got one of my needles that I use on my sewing machine, and I'm just able to punch it all the way through. Took me ages to get to that point, and I mean literally years before I even thought about doing that. I made a little jig to put onto it, and then it's the easiest thing in the world. But that just leads on to another thing, which is A question I saw somebody post up on a Facebook knife making page, and basically it says, who out there, just like me, makes knives by hand? And by my hand, he means with no power tools whatsoever. So therefore, handmade must mean no power tools. But I've just made these sheaths. I don't use any power tools apart from I've just used a drill press to put the needles through. But I didn't switch it on. Now, is that still handmade? Or is he just being a bit of a knob? Because I think even if you are using a power tool, it's not as if it's in a CNC machine. It's not as if you set a program up, press the button and it started running. I mean, at what point do you say that a knife's not handmade? Or basically machine made? Because when the steel's being made, it'll be rolled out by a machine, it'll be pressed by a machine. So therefore, if you're starting with a knife and you're just cutting a piece of steel that you've got and you're shaping it, even if it's a piece that you're going to be forging, it's probably been worked on by a machine to start with. So therefore, I think you're being a bit too righteous. That's my own opinion, obviously. Comment below, you never know. Somebody else will probably tell me I'm wrong. I know for a few, for definite, will tell me I'm wrong. But other than that, I'll just carry on with stitching these. I'm hoping that I've stitched them right colour. So this one's going on to an unzipper that's got toxic green handles and orange liners. I like to put the try and match up the stitching to some on the knife. Generally, it's the liner of the knife. So if it's got orange liners, I'll put orange stitching. This one is going to be green. I've got a D-ring onto it as well, so it's going to have a dropper attached to it. Something else I've also done, I've put some laser engraving and put the initials on to match up with the initials that I've put onto the blade. Just again, it's just a bit of detail that adds it all or matches it all up together. But I'll carry on with these. Quite nice and therapeutic, at least, to carry stitching. I do use my sewing machine, but I don't use my sewing machine for my knife sheaths. It's mostly if I'm using it if I'm doing sort of like a lot of bulk work, because I'm sure you can appreciate that if you try and do a lot of hand stitching, you end up cutting into your fingers quite a bit. No doubt I'll be sticking the needle into my thumb or my finger at some point. I usually do that as well. Right, I'll just carry on with these. Then I can trim the edges, sand them down, dye them. Once that's dried out, burnish them, and then I can wax the sheath up, and then they're sorted. So getting ever closer to finish a couple more off. But I'll carry on listening to whatever I'm listening to. Oh, War of Graphics. Anybody want to know about world politics? It's on. It is a YouTube channel, but I like to just stick the headphones on and keep listening. So I'll catch up with you once these are done. Yeah, I think these are dry enough now. I'm going to stitch these and get them all sorted. I've already done some Kydex sheaths already today, and I've just done a bit of work for those other 2 sheaths. They're in a position where I put canola cream on them and I just need to wax them up, so they're not far off being done. So I'm going to get these sorted. It's coming up time that I'm going to have to go and pick kids up, and then it's a case of just cracking on for the afternoon. But yeah, let's get this stitched up first. Right, so I've got all the slings all stitched up. They're all sorted. Just flick the camera around. Right, so they are all stitched. I've also reinforced the stitching on the loops. Well, stitched the centre up, and then I put some extra stitching on either side, and then gone through the stitching in the centre of these ones. So like I say, they're all sorted. Something else I've got is also these 2 sheaths. So they're stitched up. I have burnished the edges, but when I've put the canola cream on, it dulls it down slightly, so I just need to give those a bit of a rub to shine them up again. And I'm going to, last job tonight is just to wax these, and then I can leave the wax in the hot box just to soak in a little bit overnight. And then the last thing to do is to sharpen them. Oh, I'm going to say those 2 Kydex sheaths. So that's these 2. So a couple of, there you go, blasted. I've just gone around the edges with some 600 grit just to clean it all up a bit. Blade just needs a bit of a clean and sharpen. The Kydex sheath sorted for it, so it's a black Kydex sheath and some green Kydex for the belt loop attachment, belt loop bracket. The second one there sorted. Yeah, so they're all done. So that's those sorted, and that'll do me for tonight. I think, like I say, I'm just going to wax those 2 bits up and then sharpen up for tomorrow morning, and then I'm sorted with all those. So I've got Terry looking at his. I should be able to show him his later on. As soon as he's happy with it, then I'll post some pictures up of it as well. But I've done some laser engraving to the blade on it, so I put like initials on, and I've got a Yorkshire Rose on there as well. And I've also got marks. That's all sorted, so that's what those 2 sheets are for. And those 2 will be going up on the website, so go and take a look, because I might even still be there. If there's anything that you want to see us sort out, any questions or anything like that, if there's anything that you want to know how I've actually made stuff through, I know I've just sort of give it a little bit of a just a slight overview, but like me rifle slings, I'm thinking about doing a video for those, but I'm going to be putting it onto my Dane and Blades page. So like I say, anything that I make, that I'm going to put them onto there. So if there's anything that you just want to know a bit more about, stick us a question in, and I'll see what I can sort out. But other than that, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.